Right now, let's talk to immigration lawyer Harjap Singh Bhangal. Good morning to you.
Morning, Julia.
Thank you so much for joining us, Harjap. Where do we start? What do you make? What do you make of this plan?
Well, I think in parts it's very good. He's talking about freezing assets of the gangs and going after gangs and creating elite units. We've often talked about that on this show. That is the way to effectively deter the people smugglers. Locking up 3,000 end users, like equivalent to drug users, is not going to stop drug dealing. In the same way, locking up 3,000 asylum seekers is not going to stop the people smugglers. If we locked up 3,000 people smugglers, perhaps that would act as a deterrent and gave them life and stop their assets. That would be more of a deterrent. So in that way, he's good. He's also identified a problem which the Conservatives have no solution to and have created: the fact that we don't return enough people. Now, whether you like Labour or you don't, and I have neither bias either way, the fact is that under a Labour government in 2009, we were sending back 60,000 people a year, sending them back, getting them out of this country, people who didn't deserve to be here. Under the Conservative government last year, enforced removals were 3,000.
But hold on a minute. That fell before we left the EU, though. That had plummeted before we actually left the EU. Why did it plummet?
It plummets because the Conservatives are not removing the people that they should be removing.
But is that because the incredible slowness of the process of actually processing these people? So you can't remove someone until they've gone to the process. Or was there a change in the law? Or was it abject? Was it incompetence and failure at the Home Office? Was it a policy change, or was it something else?
It was the former, and a mixture of the government perhaps creating this problem to point out at elections. The fact is, it's not lefty lawyers or judges that are stopping removals, because lefty lawyers were around in 2009. They didn't prevent 60,000 being removed. So why is it now that they've been blamed? And it's not
so it's not that they're being blocked by no, I'm just clarifying, Harjap. It's not that they're being blocked. It's just that there is no effort to remove them.
Yeah, in 2003 and 2004, claims were processed in 15 days. I know, I was part of the process.
Yeah.
15 days. That waiting time has gone up to 2 years.
Can I point out, though, that the numbers coming were minuscule compared to the numbers we've got now, though?
Yeah, but obviously when people realise that it's going to take 2 years to decide a claim, then people, that's not a deterrent. So this government is not deterring people. The barges and the Rwanda scheme is not deterring. So the money put in to stop the gangs is a good idea. Also, we negotiated an agreement but failed to negotiate returns agreements. We have returns agreements with
Well, you say, no, I don't like this. We failed to negotiate. No, if France won't agree to take these people, a lot of these people arrive, they're undocumented. A lot of these people are coming from places like, Afghanistan. We can't return people there, so that's not going to happen anyway. So Albania, we're able to do a deal because, of course, it's not a war-torn nation. Sorry, you're going to have your people back, and that has helped to some of the deterrent. It's not a failure on our part if other countries won't accept their people back.
We had the cards in our hands, oven-ready deal. That's what we had. We could dictate the terms. We dictated the terms on a lot of issues, and we failed to. Only six countries across the world we have returns agreements with.
But funnily enough, those people, they don't want those people back.
It's a shambles.
No, but why is that a failure of this country? They don't want their people back.
Because this government, we had an opportunity to say we're not going to sign anything, we're not going to agree to any terms and conditions, we're not going to pay you the 40 billion divorce clause as it was until these agreements are signed.
Well, can I say, the problem with that, of course, was Theresa May, who, by the way, has got her book out today, won't be bothering reading it. Can we just wave a white flag and have done with it? Theresa May had done that deal. The British Civil Service, Theresa May, sold us out, sold the British people out. That deal was already done. That could not be undone at that point. That was, that was basically Remainers basically scuppering the Brexit deal. And
the deal was negotiated, that part of it, by an Australian. Now, that's the fact.
Person doing the negotiating is instructed by the government. Let me come back to the people smugglers. You're being full of praise for these headlines. Starmer vows to smash people smuggling gangs, and how, if you treat them, the National Crime Agency, our sort of FBI, treating them like they're terrorists. I mean, great language. It's all very sexy, isn't it? Freezing their assets, restricting their movements. You know as well as I do that people smuggling is now pretty much the most lucrative criminal activity in the world. You arrest one bloke on the beach putting people into dinghies, Another bloke is going to replace him tomorrow to do that work. You know, they very rarely ever catch the bigwigs, the Mr. Bigs who are actually behind this organised crime. And the moment they do, another organised criminal group will take over that work. You are never going to smash the trafficking gangs until you get rid of the demand.
What the devil's in the detail. Now, if you read what Sir Keir said, he said that elite units will be created to go to the root of the problem at the entry point, where people are crossing the border. At the moment, nothing is being done. Nothing is being done. We can't send people back. We have to accept the people who turn up.
What are those units going to do? What are those National Crime Agency units going to do? So you're talking about them being there on the coast in Italy and Greece, where people actually arrive in Europe?
No, we're talking about going to borders like the Slovak Republic, where people are crossing over. We're talking about people where they're managing
doing what?
First initially get
doing what?
Europe, and doing better job than what's been done.
Doing what?
Julia, you're policing them borders, training the people up, smashing the gangs, smashing the chain. This works as a chain.
I'm sorry that we
know.
It's
not one person in charge.
There are millions of people who are going to be trying in the next few years to try and get to European borders. And once they're getting to any border anywhere in Eastern Europe, I mean, look, let's face it, maybe the EU could spend less time policing whether or not a plant being delivered to Northern Ireland from the UK mainland it meets EU rules, and a bit more worrying about people smuggling happening on the Eastern European borders. Maybe there wouldn't be such an issue. But I'm sorry, a couple of dozen National Crime Agency officers going to Eastern European or Southern European borders is not going to tackle a multi-billion-pound trafficking business.
Julia. We don't know the number yet, Julia. And you yourself said that at one time the number crossing was minuscule. So something was effective back then, and something is not effective back now.
No, the number was minuscule because years ago people weren't aware. They didn't have their mobile phones telling them, hey, life's great, and getting all the information. People weren't able to travel in the same way. We saw the breakdown of numerous countries in the Middle East and across North Africa, and then and people like Angela Merkel of Germany saying, hey, come over, open door policy. And that started this absurd and very dangerous mass migration. That's not going to stop. It's going to get worse, but before it does ever get better. If we were taking, let's go back to the quotas. EU-wide returns agreement, it would be in return for, so we'll return, 20, 30, 40,000 people who've come across on dinghies, in return for which we'll take 120,000 based on last year's quota, what it would have been of the million arrivals in the EU. Where does that end? What if 3 million arrive? Do we take 360,000?
Well, once again, Sir Keir said he hasn't committed to that. What he said, and look, well, you know what he said is that something to be negotiated with the EU. The key is negotiation. Now, at the moment, we're sending 3,000 back. Surely sending 60,000 back, like in 2009.
Sending 60,000 back,
is much better than.
Sorry, sending 60,000 back and taking another 120,000. I'm not sure that's a good deal.
Yeah, but under the status quo, how many are we stopping? We've got record numbers coming every weekend, Julia. Over the past month, we've had records over records broken coming. We can't send any of them back. Any of them.
OK, I know you and I are going to speak many times about this issue, and you've been a great friend of the show. If and when Labour get in next year, if and when they implement this policy, you and I are going to have a lot of conversations, and I'm going to insist that every single one of them starts with you saying, sorry, Julia, you were right.
Julia, in that case, can I have an apology for the last 13 years where the Tories have broken the system and have absolutely, no one's been held to account and have done absolutely nothing about it. Record number of people coming over, record number of lows in removals, record number of time taking to process a claim, record number of people in hotels, record number of people not being sent back. That's all on this government. Let's start with a apology for 13 years.
I'm not in charge of those policies. I'm as angry about them as you are.
I'm not in charge of Sir Keir's policies.
Yeah, but you're saying it'll work. I'm telling you I know it won't. Harjap Singh Bhangal, he's an immigration lawyer. Thank you very much indeed for that.